Hey everyone, I'm making this quick video today as a sort of a video response to Air Force Proud 95's video about IFR clearances on VATSIM. I just wanted to share some more information and also share the method that I use for dealing with clearances on the network. This is not saying by any means that his video is wrong. It had good information and I'll link to it as well so you can check it out if you want, and also look at his method in case it helps you out more than this one does. Before we start, just a couple things to keep things easy. We're assuming that these are all valid United States IFR clearances. Other countries do things differently, and your results may vary if you use this when flying in those countries. And also we're assuming that no changes are made to your route by air traffic control, just to keep things easy. So this is the actual clearance from one of my previous videos. I followed a link if you want to look at it and follow along. But if you're new to VATSIM or IFR flying in general, this can be really overwhelming. This is usually the first interaction you have with the controller, and they expect you to not only copy and read back this, but then most importantly know how to follow these instructions. So that seems like a lot, but we can actually break this down into kind of easier to manage parts. If you've seen my intro to IFR videos on my channel, then you may remember how this was broken down in using the CRAFT acronym. I've also linked to that video if you want to review that or watch it for the first time. This is just kind of a review of what they stand for. I won't go into too much detail. C stands for clearance limit, where you're being cleared to, then followed by route, altitude instructions, frequency, and then transponder information. So preparation's half the battle, as they say, and this is especially so with flying. So as part of free flight, let's look at the chart for the SID that we filed today, which is the Royal 5. What this is the graphical depiction of the route that we're flying, departing from Kansas City and then arriving Taunts up at the north here, you can see, and that'll get us out of the Kansas City area and on our way to Minneapolis. There's a lot of information here on this chart, and if you're not familiar, I recommend you watch my video or other videos about reading these charts so you can fully use them. What we're going to look at specifically today is this departure route description at the bottom. As we can see here, for all runways, takeoff or fly assigned heading and altitude for vector to appropriate route, expect filed altitude 10 minutes after departure. And then we can see specifically the Taunts transition. What this says in words is basically exactly the same as what the picture is up here. So using that, we can prepare and already know what most of our clearance is going to say based on the CRAFT acronym that we used before. If we kind of jot this down ahead of time or just use this when we're calling, it really helps. So our C clearance limit is Minneapolis-St. Paul Airport. Our route is going to be the Royal 5 departure, which we filed, and then there's no special instructions on the SID, so it's just going to be the Taunts transition and then as filed. We don't know what initial altitude to maintain, but we do know that we can expect our cruise altitude to fly level 370 10 minutes after departure, as is said on the chart. And then we don't know our frequency or transponder code, but already we have more than half of the clearance, and then as we request it and it's issued to us, we really only have to fill in 3 numbers. So, as we saw before here, cleared to Minneapolis Airport, Royal 5 departure, Taunts transition, then as filed. Maintain 10,000, expect flight level 370 10 minutes after departure. Departure frequency 120.905, squawk 4526. So now, as I said, all we had to do was fill in those 3 numbers because we prepared and knew what was going to be given to us mostly. In another situation here from one of my other videos, my Atlanta departure video, we can see another clearance that we'll go through as well, so you can have another example. And this is a lot shorter than the last one, and you may be wondering where the rest of it, but that is actually a full clearance and everything that we need to know to successfully get out of the Atlanta terminal area. So we'll pull up the chart. This one happened to be 2 pages, but looking at the first one, we can see the same information, the route description, and also in this case, we happened to request this from the departure controller, so in the clearance they didn't give us a frequency because they were the only one online. But you can see here that based on the runway that you'd be departing, if Atlanta was fully staffed, it tells you which frequency to use. Normally that'll just be given to you, so we don't have to worry about that. It's a little different today. But then if we look at the second page of the chart, we can see up here, again in words, what the picture said for all of the transitions, or runways rather. And then also again, maintain 10,000 or requested altitude. Expect clearance to filed altitude 10 minutes after departure. So in this case, we know our initial altitude already, and then our final altitude is 10 minutes after. So if we go back and plug that into Craft as we're expecting it, we can see that we're going to be cleared to Miami. Thrasher 7 is our nav, so we just follow the chart exactly, and then as filed, our initial altitude is 10,000, expecting our cruise flight level 390. 10 minutes after, our departure frequency was with the controller that we were talking to, and then our transponder as it would be issued to us, 0416. So this one we had even more information to be prepared with as we were going into, and it really, if you break it down like this, I think it's a really easy way to keep track and not get too overwhelmed. I know I went over this kind of fast, so I didn't want the video to run too long. For that, I'll be making these slides available. There's a link in the description. Feel free to check them out and go over them at your own pace if you have any questions. Also, check the description for the links to other videos that I mentioned if you're interested in looking at those. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later.